so much for joining me once again on Nexus Fellowship Online. Today, I have a special guest with me, and it's Wendy Agyin here with me in the studios. This is for our series, the Nest Talk podcast, where we talk about people's story. Wendy has a wonderful story, and I would like to get it out of her today. So join us as we get into discussions today. Hi, Wendy. Thank you so much for joining me once again.
You're welcome.
Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself? Maybe in a few words, who you are, what you do, things like that.
Okay. Hi, my name is Wendy Agyin. I'm 27 years old and I'm the founder of Gold Butter. Gold Butter is a startup I started recently, and it focuses on natural hair products that are also with organic ingredients. And what we want to do with Gold Butter is we know that a lot of women use leave-in conditioner, moisturizers, oil, and it's a lot of products and a lot of time, and we want to speed up that process. That is
great. That is for me. I've already celebrated this idea, and I will always celebrate it because I think it's a genius idea. It's innovative, and this is what we are looking for: people to build, tomorrow's product for the African community. Let's talk a little bit about you growing up in Belgium, because you grew up here. Mm-hmm. How was it for you? Walk us through a little bit from the day you were born, your school, your different levels of school, your experiences as growing up as an African Belgian, actually.
Yeah. Let me think. Well, it was interesting because on one side my parents have African source, so I would see a lot of Africans there and hang out with them. I went to church, and that's predominantly African too, so that's one side. And on the other side you have school, and they're the only black girl in class usually, or the only black girl in school together with my sister because we're only 1 year apart. So it usually was just us two. And I also never had another black person sit with me in class, only once, and that was for 2 months. So you definitely had both worlds.
Okay, that's great. And like, I think maybe this might not be too relevant at the moment, but the challenges that you faced when as being the young African in class and things like that. I remember that you mentioned that you had times where people made comment about you being black or something like that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, when I was 12, I remember a girl asking me, don't you find it horrible that you're black? And so to me that was a very confusing question, because I never thought of it. I never looked at myself and thought, oh my God, no, I'm black. I've always loved it. I remember being confused by that question, but also it shows you the mindset of some people. They're like, poor you black girls.
But I mean, besides that, it's not like you encountered any setbacks as an African here, right?
It's not like I feel like it, but then again, the way I am, I'm not someone that, even if you want to create a setback for me, I'm not going to pay attention to you, because what is for me is for me, and you as a human being cannot stop me.
Take it from you. So I think I like that perseverance, or kind of being able to focus on what you want mentality, because of course whatever people say, you cannot change people's perception, people's mind about you. I think it all comes down to you yourself, and so it's great that you say that you don't focus too much on the negative energy that people all the things people try to get out of you that are negative. Let's talk a little bit about Corona, because it's affecting all of us. We're hopefully getting to the end of it, or the vaccine is coming finally, and hopefully so we can be hopeful and start living as humans again. Can you talk us a little bit about how you experienced it, how it affected you, and things like that, and maybe right from there jump into a little bit of how your perception of the Black Lives Matter issues that happened this year also.
Okay, let me start with Corona. Well, the coronavirus was interesting because we heard about it in the beginning, and then it was a so-called disease that was all the way in China. And then they say it was like the flu. And so actually the moment I realized the seriousness of Corona was actually when I went to Israel. We had a school project and we had to visit different companies and understand their startup culture over there. And so for me, the first thing was the fact that they weren't sure that we were allowed to go. So I'm like, okay. And also I had different international projects that were getting canceled because of Corona. So I'm thinking, when people were planning stuff, I was already telling them, I don't know if what you're planning is going to go through, because I saw things getting canceled already for me. So I'm thinking, I don't think you're thinking, I don't think so. I don't want to be a pessimist, but from what I'm seeing, I don't think so. So, and also in Israel, like even when you were, let's say if the week before you went to Spain, they wouldn't have allowed you on the plane. And to me, I've never experienced that going to Spain would not allow me to be on the plane. And also different companies in Israel were saying they were backing out and we couldn't visit them because of the coronavirus. So that's how I realized, okay, it seems like this is a serious disease. And so the week after that lockdown happens. And so I think that's when the whole of Belgium realized Corona
this thing was serious and we have to take it serious. All right, great. And on the Black Lives Matter, was there any shock? Was there anything when that issue came up? How did you experience it on your own level, of course?
For me, I would say the shock of Black Lives Matter was mostly the fact, the magnitude of it. All of a sudden, people cared because it already exists a long time. But before that, it was only black people that cared about it. And all of a sudden, you have white people that cared about Black Lives Matter. So for me, the surprising part was the magnitude. But it's surprising, but also unfortunate that we have to play a video of that for people to understand how serious it is. All those times we've always known these things happen, but now there's a video and everyone's like, oh my God, does this really happen? Yeah, it does.
It does happen. And do you think that in the future we will get a better story of the because I think that I had this discussion the other time about that people sometimes permit themselves when it comes to Africans. I mean, a lot of things are being said. Do you think that there will be a better future in that people will stop racism actually? Do you think we can do better with that in today's world?
Can we do better? Yes. Are we going to do better? I don't know, because if you look at history, you see like the same things are happening. And as people are saying, oh wow, it exists, there's also a large part of people that we don't really see, because especially with social media, it draws you into what you think is interesting. But there's a large growing part that thinks, nah, you guys are not gonna have these options. So I don't know. Obviously, I'm hopeful that there is a bigger awareness, but I also know that I'm drawn to certain things in social media, and I know that's not necessarily the real perception of everything in the world.
But I think that is very good, because of course the social media will always bombard you with things you want to see.
With things you want to see, but it doesn't create the real world
counter reactions for you. So you have to be careful about that, because they will smash your head with a whole bunch of things.
You might have a perception that everybody thinks Black Lives Matter, but no.
I think there will always be people on the other side of the team. Let's say that way. Yeah, people on the other side of the team. So, your school, and let's get back to you personally. You have your school, you have your project now. You studied entrepreneurship, and you are now embarking on that. Walk us through a little bit. How did all this started? How did you come up with your idea, or how did you end up with gold butter?
Gold butter. Well, gold butter was an idea that was already there 5 years ago, because I've been natural for, let's say, over 6 years now. Yeah, 6 years now. And so for me, I love doing my hair. I've always loved doing my hair prior to being natural.
Yeah.
So it came from a sense of I loved it. I loved experimenting with it.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I've always also wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I knew if I was going to do something, definitely natural hair would fit me a lot.
Yeah.
The name Gold Butter itself specifically came actually from the fact that Ghana used to be called the Gold Coast, and the fact that shea butter will be incorporated in it, so then both of those, and shea butter is also from Ghana, so then 1 plus 1 is 2, you have gold butter. Exactly, so it's definitely a reference to where I'm coming from. So that came with that idea, and then the specifically gold butter now, that also had to do with the fact that I studied business and entrepreneurship, so they force you to be, very innovative and to figure out like what stands out. And so for me, I noticed that if there was one thing I found annoying for myself was the fact that I always had to use so many products, I had to try it out, and I heard a lot of people saying that, natural hair is hard and takes too much time. And I always say, no, it does not take a lot of time. And they usually think I'm crazy, because usually when people look at me, they think I spend a lot of time on my hair. But I'm like, no, I don't like spending a lot of time on my hair. I know what to do, and I know how to speed up my process, but I don't spend 30 minutes every day on my hair. Like
30 minutes every day on your hair. That's like my whole thing. My whole video.
Exactly. So that's definitely to show like we can speed up the process. It doesn't have to be as hard as we think. And so it was also the fact that also I love when women, especially black women, can just be their natural self with their natural hair without society telling you how you're supposed to wear your hair. And so the freedom that being natural brings, because it gives you the opportunity to choose, and that's what drew me into gold butter. That's
already very inspirational. And I just want to add to that, or just maybe re-say what you just said about the why, also kind of doing something that empowers the community to pursue their level of confidence, their level of idea, what they really hope to, especially the African women in that sense, because I think that people being comfortable with who they are should be the goal.
Exactly.
And finding confidence in who they are, and your hair is part of who you are. And so however you want to wear it, I think that shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be defined by what society seems as best for you. It should be defined
by yourself, what you feel comfortable. And I hope that young girls coming up will be able to take that part. Your hair is nice, so wear it. And maybe the guys have to compliment more and give them yes. It's nice. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's beautiful. I like the idea. Talk us about, because I think that the innovative aspect of it is what I want to talk about. You're not just doing a product. You're not just bringing a cream to the market that is just one of those cream. You're trying to find a solution to a problem, an existing problem. How do people get into that thinking? Can you, or someone who is saying, maybe I'd like to get involved in it or do something entrepreneurially, how do they get to that level where they see a problem or recognize a problem and do something about it?
I would say if it's something from your own interest already, it's easier to see the problems there than if you would say, I just want money quick and let me be there. It might be more hard. For me, it was easier because I do a lot with hair. I have a YouTube channel about hair. I talk with people about hair. So it's easy to come from that state and then to figure out, what are the problems in my interest field? What are people still struggling with? And literally just ask someone that's also in that field and ask different interviews. Ask them what do you struggle with and how do you handle this and that? And it might inspire you to something.
And I think that is very good said, because you have to recognize that it's in your passion area, that is something that you're interested in. Don't want to start want to make money too fast and just want to start God knows what, it probably might not work out. But I think also in the African setting, we have a lot of products that we can still develop into a more better version of what we have now. So I think for the young people listening, this is a very inspirational. It's very inspiring to see this happening, and I hope more people will start thinking, what can we better? What can we take and add more value to it, or do something better out of it? Of course, the process is not easy. Let's talk about that. What would you have known before maybe starting your going to this business idea? There were the things that you thought, like, I wish I knew that.
I wish I knew how long it would take.
Yeah.
Because a cosmetic product obviously has to do with hair, and obviously I'm not just picking something that already exists. So there's a lot of time in research and development.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe like, oh yes, I'm gonna start this, and in 3 months, ta-da!
Product is here. You can start.
I can start, But no, there comes a lot of time in, the research phase and the trials that you need to do, and you have to adjust your product, and so that creates, you need to have a lot of patience, because you have your assumptions and you have facts. And so your assumption can be 3 months, but facts will say you have to do a test period of at least 4 months. Okay. So it doesn't go.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
By law, even it doesn't go.
No, it doesn't go. Indeed, it doesn't go, and I think that is why I wanted you to speak about it, because I think there's one thing that you want. There's one thing to have the passion, the enthusiasm to want something to happen, but reality will always tell you this is going to happen, but.
It's going. It might be at a slower pace than you expected. Yeah. Which is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, of course not.
Gives you time.
I think it's important that we have patience for what we would like to create. Definitely. So it's not going to happen tomorrow. No, it might take a while, and be ready to stay with it and stick with it also, and don't quit, don't break, don't. Jump onto the another thing, because the other thing is also going to take us that long. So I think it's important that we learn to keep up with endurance, and patience is the key here, right?
Yes.
All right, that's very good. Talk us a little bit about inspiration, people who inspire you, the resources that you use to, set your mind up for as an entrepreneur, somebody who loves to do business and other things.
I listen to a lot of podcasts of all types of different people, so that's why I guess maybe that's why it's hard for me to always say one person, because for me I'm usually interested in different subjects that are key and not necessarily always one person. So it's always like if someone has something interesting to say about your mindset or about different business developments of your business, I'm interested in it. So I do listen to a lot of business podcasts, startup podcasts, but also like inspirational podcasts, because it helps you with your mindset. Different YouTubes, like you have the School of Greatness that also has a podcast. You have Tom Banlieue that has always interesting speakers. And so usually when they have an interesting speaker, I also start going to that speaker to see okay, what are they about? So that's definitely stuff that, and also just in my surroundings, the fact that I recently started KBC, so you're joined with a lot of startups, so you have a lot of people with a very inspiring mindset already, so that helps. So
you need resources, you need network, you need to feed yourself in the direction that you want to go, otherwise you probably might not get far, because it's all about learning and a lifetime of learning. And the podcast resources, the readings, you don't have the right skill set, you might not be able to complete it. Do you want to get into that a little bit?
So do you mean get into...
Like in the university,
like
how to choose the right course, how to choose the right career or something like that,
I think that's also a difficult question, because in Belgium very often at 18 they kind of expect you to have it all figured up and mapped out, and you go and study this, and this is what you're going to do the rest of your life. But I think very often at 18 you might not even know what you like, because you've not had that much life experience. But I think it's important to know why you pick a certain study. So what is your goal with it? Is it because a degree looks nice and for your ego, because I would say that's maybe not the best reason, but it happens though.
It happens, of course. I mean, we all have reasons why we do what we do.
Exactly. So I think that's important also to figure out what is your gift and talent, like what, just, and not even in the big sense of, oh, this is my big gift and talent, but just look at what are you good at, and maybe choose based on that. Though, like, if you know, like, you're very analytical, then okay, studying might be for you. But also, if you're not that great at it, it doesn't necessarily mean you don't have to go that route, but then you would have to adjust your skill set so that you could have great results. So I think those things come into place, but don't beat yourself about it because you don't know exactly what you do when you're 18.
Nobody does. I mean, I don't know. You know what you want, but probably what is really means what you want, nobody knows, because we have concept of things. I would love to become a millionaire, but how do I become a millionaire? I don't know. So the concept of it is good. You will always probably would like to become a doctor. But what does that mean? At 18, you can be anything because you never know the reality of it. So I think it's very good that you already have the mindset of really choose based on passion and then have a try and error.
Because it's not. When it doesn't work out, it's not the worst thing on earth.
No, of course not.
Change direction, and they have taught you that that's not for me.
You need to fail to succeed. If you don't fail, you never know what it means to. And then there are so many things. I mean, failure is not that bad. I have failed a lot, and I'm still failing, and I like that because it tells me that I'm busy and I'm alive. Imagine if I don't fail on nothing. There is a saying that. Those who don't try anything don't break anything. So it's those trying that breaks in. I want to break a lot of things, and I'm happy you're breaking a lot of things also. Let's talk a little bit about faith. Faith, I know you in that setting, church settings. I think we've spent a few times in churches. So I want to know, growing up in Europe, what made you as a young African, but also thoroughly European, because you grew up here, you have the exposure, you speak the language, you can go anywhere you want to go and actually become anything you want to become in this country because you are Belgian, but you also a Ghanaian. How do you maintain your faith, or how did you maintain that faith, and what does faith mean for you actually personally?
Faith. So for me, faith is
faith in Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Because faith itself can be anything.
I'm faith in Jesus Christ.
But for me, I've grown up in the church, so obviously that's my first introduction to it. So that's your first introduction, but then it comes to a level whereby it's going to be a choice, right? So for me, it was definitely the fact that I've sensed it, I've felt it, and it has got me through such trials and tribulations. So even if someone would say, oh no, God doesn't exist, Jesus doesn't exist, somehow I've had experiences with it, so I don't care about your opinion. Like, it has helped me. So your opinion is really, I don't care. That's good for you, but you can't take away my experience.
Opinion of it also. Yes. And then I think that's a very important fact, because of course you're going to deal with people, and that's why I asked it in the context of Europe, because if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, or if you walk in a relationship with God in Africa or somewhere else, in some Christian countries, you don't see that as a problem. I think that here there's this thing like socially, it's not really as accepted. It's not really like you want everybody to know I got Jesus on, it's not it's because they're trying to say that you have to be neutral, and
the fact is you have a lot of atheists here in Belgium, so they find it ridiculous.
Yeah, but I don't even know what that has to do with your neutrality in if you believe, you believe.
Yeah.
I don't think that you should hide it.
Yeah, but for them it's like, don't show it.
Yeah, don't show it. And so I think that makes it also difficult for people to really speak about faith and express their faith. But at the end of the day, I think it's an important aspect of it. Let's talk a little bit about, did your faith inspire your entrepreneurship goals? Like, where does those two meet for you?
Yes, because obviously, you have to be truthful as a Christian. It's very important.
Yeah.
So that's important that I bring out the truthful products, but also the fact that giving back, because we want to focus also on giving a solid percentage back to an organization in Ghana. We're still checking which organization, but that's also a faith-inspired base, because we definitely want to be of. We don't want that, I'm just buying a product. You know that you're having an impact in society while you buy something from Gold Butter, and that's definitely inspiring by faith.
Yeah, that is very beautiful, and I think that's what makes faith a beautiful thing, because it inspires you to think beyond yourself, and that is the whole course of God also, because He gave, and so when we relate to Him, we give also. Let's talk a little bit about opportunities in Belgium for young people, young Africans. I want you to talk about, do you think that there are opportunities, and if there are, how do we go about utilizing those opportunities?
Opportunities are definitely there. They might just not always be in your face. So you might have to put in effort to seek out which opportunities are there. Yeah. And that's also where your network is very important, or the people you surround yourself with, because they can link you up with different opportunities.
Definitely.
If you only are surrounded by people that don't really do anything, it will be very hard to reach those opportunities.
Definitely.
So you definitely have to start being hungry for the type of opportunities you want in your specific fields, and get closer also to people that know about that field, and that might create opportunities for you.
Yeah. So there it is. She spelled it out for you. There are opportunities in Belgium beyond our imagination. I think there is just mind-blowing the type of things that we can do. Yeah. But of course, they wouldn't bring it to you at home and sell it.
You're gonna have to look out there. Yeah.
You have to go out there and grab it, and so be a go-getter. Exactly. Get out of your comfort zone and make things work. Because as we bring this to an end, if people want to support your project, if they want to find you, can you give them a little bit of information where they can find you?
Yes, I have an Instagram and the YouTube channel, both called wendycandytrendy, just how you spell it, all in one word. So you can find me there. For Gold Butter, we have an Instagram page, goldbutter.be. We're still working on our socials with that one, but follow my socials and Gold Butter, and you'll see the updates. And I have a LinkedIn, Wendy Agyin, so you can find me there.
So support Wendy and her project. The website is not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, all right, good. So you can find her information on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and on our website. So check our website and definitely make sure you connect with her, follow her product, especially young Africans who, if you love your hair and you want to show it, I think you should show it. And I think so. And so her product is definitely going to help. And so I'm really hoping that this thing gets, done. That God willing, we find all the scientific stuff behind it, and then we can get it out there, and even if it's not, we still move on to something else. Very small. And so really congratulations on the project, congratulations on the idea. I think it's innovative. I like it because I wanted to hear, first of all, what the idea was, but when I heard it, I thought yes, this is what we are looking for, the next step, the next level. So congratulations on that, keep working hard. And if you guys want to speak with her, if you have an idea, you don't know how to go about it, just contact her.
Yeah.
in our community, we have to support each other.
That's true.
We need that because unfortunately I remember you said something about 95% of the people who own.
It was about the natural hair industry, like let's say in the UK, I'm giving approximately, but over 95% were white owned and only 5% was black owned. So that's a
Can you imagine? And they make hair for you. Anyway, so take courage, step out and do something, support somebody, and make something happen. So from me and Wendy, we are leaving next stop now. So we will definitely come back again with another topic, another guest, and it could be her also. So see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.
Bye.